Welcome students to the next lecture in the series. In this part, we are about to study the next topic under the ratios. The next category here we have is the capital structure ratios. In this, we will be studying 3 to 4 ratios: debt equity ratio, proprietary ratio, capital gearing ratio, and interest coverage ratio. I must tell you at this point that interest coverage ratio can also be part of your coverage ratios. So it is same in a capital structure, or you can say coverage ratios. Both are interest coverage ratio and it is alike, it is same. Let us begin with the meaning of capital structure. I hope you are aware that what is capital structure. It is the combination of debt and equity, like from where a company is able to arrange its funds, whether it is getting it from debt, long term or short term, or getting it from equity, maybe preference equity, equity share capital, or the owner's equity. It can either be equity share capital or the owner's equity. So capital structure ratios that we have here can also be considered or called as gearing ratios, or you can say solvency ratios or leverage ratios. These names are important, so kindly remember them. These are used to analyze the long-term solvency of any particular business concern. There are two main aspects of long-term solvency for any firm that they need to keep into consideration. The first under it is the ability to repay the principal amount when due, or the second you can say is the regular payment of the interest. These are the two main things that an organization needs to keep in mind. So in other words, long-term creditors like debenture holders or financial institutions, they are interested in the security of their loan amount because they would like to know that whether the organization who has taken the loan from them will be able to return the amount back or not, as well as the ability of the company to meet the interest costs, because that is only the earning that the organization, that the financial institutions are earning from those businesses. So they therefore also consider the earning capacity of the company to know whether it will be able to pay off interest on loan amount or not. Liquidity ratios discussed earlier, that we have discussed in the previous video, indicate the short-term financial strength, whereas the solvency ratios judge the ability of a firm to pay off its long-term liabilities. So I hope it is very clear here that when you need to check the financial strength in the short run, we check out the liquidity ratios, and when we need to check that out in the long run, that in the long run whether the organization will be able to pay off its liabilities or not, then it is capital structure ratios, or you can say the solvency ratios. Now let us see these ratios one by one. First, under this, the most important one, which usually comes in exam, is the debt equity ratio. The ratio attempts the measure to relationship between the long-term debts and shareholders' funds. In other words, you can say that this ratio actually establishes a relationship among the debts and the shareholders' fund. It measures the relative claim of the long-term creditors on the one hand and owners on the other hand on the assets of the company. So this ratio is calculated by any of the two methods. We have two methods and we must keep in mind, because the terms used in these two methods are totally different, so answer can also be different when you will be calculating it numerically. Let us see one by one. I hope you are clear with the meaning of this, because the name is suggesting that debt equity ratio, that how much debt and how much equity is able to provide you your capital. So the formula for debt equity ratio is long-term debts upon the shareholders fund. Now let us see what all can be the parts of your long-term debts. Long-term debts includes debentures, long-term funds, long-term loans from any financial institution, banking institution or so. And shareholders fund, on the other hand, in the denominator will include the share capital, both equity and preference, accumulated profits in the form of general reserve, capital reserve, or any other fund that belongs to the shareholders, past accumulated losses, and deferred expenditures like preliminary expenses should be deducted while computing shareholders fund. This point is very important. I am repeating, if you are having any past accumulated losses or any deferred expenditures like preliminary expenses are there, so you need to minus it from the shareholders fund. They cannot be part of that. So keep that in mind. The second method we have here in the numerator, there is a difference. Denominator would remain the same. In the numerator, we will be considering the total debts, that is your short term as well as the long term. In other words, we can say the formula can also be written like this, that external equities upon the internal equities. So total debts or external equities will include all the outside liabilities, may it be short term or long term. All would be considered. And in external equities, you will have debentures, sundry creditors, bills payable, bank overdraft, short term, long term loans, outstanding expenses, taxation provision, proposed dividend, etc. So it is like that now you have the short term liabilities also included in this. Internal equities is same, that shareholders fund that we have studied in the previous formula. Let us move further. Again, an important part, the significance and objectives of this particular ratio. See, I'm telling you, commenting and giving significance of a particular ratio is very important in exams because it carries marks for you in exam. So keep that in mind. Significance and objectives of debt equity ratio. It shows actually the relative amount of funds which is supplied to the company by outsiders and by owners. A low debt equity ratio implies that there is a greater claim of owners on the assets of the company than the creditors, whereas a high debt equity ratio indicates that the claims of the creditors are greater than those of the owners. And in such situation, the debt equity ratio is considered as acceptable as 1 is to 1 in general. So from the point of view of the company, the lower the ratio, if this ratio is lower, then less the company has to worry in meeting its fixed obligations. So this ratio also indicates the extent to which a company has to depend upon outsiders for its financial requirements. In long-term financial condition of a business, the debt equity ratio enjoys the same importance as the current ratio in the analysis of the short-term financial position is playing. Let us move further. The second ratio we have here in this is the proprietary ratio. So it is very important for you to remember the formulas. So you must compile all the formula at one place. This ratio is again a variant of debt equity ratio only. It measures the relationship between the shareholders' funds and the total assets. So you can see the formula is like that only. You can see that proprietary ratio is equals to shareholders' funds upon the total assets. Shareholders' funds comprise of ordinary share capital, preference share capital, and all items of reserves and surplus. Total assets include all tangible assets and only those intangible assets which have a definite realizable value. If I talk about the significance and objective of this particular ratio we have here is that it shows the extent to which the shareholders own the business, and thus they indicate the general financial strength of the business. The higher the proprietary ratio is, the greater the long-term stability of the company is, and consequently greater protection to the creditors. Means creditors are not in a risk. They are satisfied that they will be getting their money back. However, a very high proprietary ratio may not necessarily be considered as good, because if the funds of outsiders are not used for long-term financing, then a firm may not be able to take the advantage of trading on equity, a very important point. Now here we have a question. From this you need to find out the debt equity ratio and the proprietary ratio. Solution I have kept on the next page, but I'll discuss it keeping the question here in front of you. So let us begin with debt equity ratio. I hope you know the formula. Just need to remember the formulas because it is very important for any student to solve a question. If you're not able to remember any formulas, you will not be able to solve any questions in the exam. So in order to do that, you need to remember the formulas. That is the most important thing. Here we can check out debt equity ratio with both the methods. You can see I have sorted here for you both the methods, a method 1 and method 2, and you can see that the ratio is coming out as different. It is coming out as 1.3 here, whereas in this part it is coming out as 2:3. So it is different in both the parts. Let us go to the question. From there only we will solve it. First method, you know the formula is long-term debts upon the shareholders fund, and here in this question you will be able to see that under long-term debts you have the debentures as given. 9% debentures are given to you valuing 1 lakh. So numerator becomes 1 lakh, and in the denominator you can have the shareholders fund, which includes preference share capital, equity share capital, then Geo General Reserve and P&L account. These 4 items would total out as 3 lakh rupees and can be calculated the ratio. You can see that's what I said, that it is counting as 3 lakh rupees and the long term debts are of 1 lakh, so the ratio is coming out as 0.33, or you can say 1.3. With the next method, let us again see. You can see the formula is total debts upon the shareholders fund. So shareholders fund would remain the same as 3 lakh. You just need to check out that what is there in the total debts. Along with debentures, you may add all your current liabilities along with that. You can see that what all current liabilities do you have. You may add that to it and finally move further. I'm able to see that there are current liabilities along with debentures. Debentures is of 1 lakh and we have current liabilities of 1 lakh only. Sorry. Current liabilities, sundry creditors and outstanding wages 95 plus 5. That is again coming out as 1 lakh. So 1 lakh 9% debentures and 1 lakh for the current liabilities. So with that viewpoint, you can see in the question we have marked in the numerator 1 lakh plus 1 lakh 2 lakh. So 2 lakh upon 3 lakh coming out as 2:3 or 0.67. With both the methods, we are getting a different answer, but both are correct. Then proprietary ratio, we have the formula as shareholders fund upon the total assets. Shareholders fund is calculated as 3 lakh, and you can notice in the question that the total assets are amounting to rupees 5 lakh. So I have taken that in denominator as 5 lakh rupees here. So the ratio is coming out as 3:5, or you can say 60%. Then we have the interest coverage ratio that we need to cover in this part. Debt service ratio or fixed charges cover. This is the name. You can say the interest coverage ratio. What is it showing? It will be showing that if the business is having enough profits to pay off the interest charges. Here we are not talking about the principal amount, because in a loan, whenever you take a loan of any kind, you have two components. One is the principal component, where you will be paying the original sum of money that you have borrowed, and in the second part you do have the interest cover. Interest is the basic earning of the lending authority. That is the only profit that they are earning out of it by lending the amount of money. So this ratio indicates whether the business earns sufficient profits to periodically pay the interest charges or not. And these interest charges needs to be paid periodically, maybe monthly or so. So the formula that we have here for interest coverage ratio is earnings before interest and tax, that is EBIT or PBIT, same thing, upon the fixed interest charges, that is the interest on debentures or any long-term loans that you have. Let us see the significance. This ratio is very important from lender's point of view. Why? Because it indicates the ability of a company to pay the interest out of its profits. This ratio also indicates the extent to which the profits of the company may decrease without in any way of affecting its ability to meet its interest obligations. The standard for this ratio for an industrial company is that interest charges should be at least covered 6 to 7 times approximately. Let us have a look to a question based on this. Let me see if I have put the solution. Okay, I'll discuss it orally with you. Let us see the question. What is the question? We need to calculate the interest coverage ratio, and for that purpose they have given you PBIT, that is profit after charging interest on debentures and taxes, given to us as 25,000, interest charged as 5,000, provision for tax is 10,000. So for that purpose, the formula for interest coverage ratio we have just studied on the previous slide, that it is PBIT, that is profit before interest and tax, upon the interest charges. So denominator is 5,000, that is clear from here. Now let us work out the numerator, that is profit before interest and tax. As we are given with this 25,000, which is after interest and tax, so we do need to add interest and tax to it. So PBIT will come out as 25,000 plus 5,000 interest charges plus 10,000 provision for tax. So it will be 40,000. 40,000 divided by 5,000 interest charges will come out as 8 times. We have seen that the ideal ratio is considered as 6 to 7 times, and the ratio that we are obtaining here in this question is 8 times, which is again more than ideal. Let us move further. Then we have capital gearing ratio. This is the ratio between fixed interest bearing securities and equity share capital. Here fixed income securities include the debentures and preference share capitals, because it is like in any situation you need to pay the interest on these particular securities. So they are fixed interest bearing securities. The formula for this we have is fixed income securities, that is debentures and preference share capital, upon the equity shareholders fund. What is the significance of this? A company is highly geared if this ratio is more than 1. If it is less than 1, it is low geared. But if it is exactly 1, then the company is evenly geared. A highly geared company has the advantage of trading on equity. So obviously every company would like to have a highly geared ratio. Here your capital structure ratios ends. In the next video lecture, we will be studying the next category of ratios. If you have any doubts, you can write to me, you can connect with me. Until then, study well, take care, bye bye.